Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Tina, also known as Blooming Knitter, and this is Knitting Blooms. Thank you for taking the time to spend it with me today. I am actually thankful that I am here with you today. As you guys know, we experienced the loss of a pet recently, and that was Cody. And it has been an extremely difficult time. Much more difficult than any of the other passings in the last 2 years. And I think it's because it was compounded with Sammy's blood sugar skyrocketing. Needless to say, the past couple of weeks have been extremely rough. They have been stressful and depressing, and I don't even know what else to call them. But I have not gotten that much knitting done, and this is probably going to be a fairly short show because of that. But I did want to take some time and thank all of you who posted comments about Cody's passing. I didn't respond to them or anything like that, but please know that I've read every single one of them, and it was those comments that kind of lifted me up and carried me through the past few weeks. It has been a very trying time, but I know that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and I just have to wait until I see it. I'm hoping that it's going to be really soon. So I think that Cody's illness and his passing really affected Sammy. I think because it was kind of a long-term thing, but it was kind of quick at the same time. Whereas Mickey, he had been sick for a number of years. We had been treating like an IBD kind of issue with him. And she was upset when he passed away. But it's been a little bit different with Cody, and which surprises me because I didn't think that Cody and Sammy were all that close. But Cody must have been in an extreme amount of pain because I think that a lot of her sugar issues have to do with that. But we are still struggling to get her sugar levels down. I'm hoping that after this weekend, we will see some progress because I'm going to be doing some kind of, I'm considering it aggressive dosing, but it's not. I mean, it's all in protocol as per the recommendations on the Feline Diabetes Board, and somewhat in conjunction with the vets' ideas. But a lot of times the vets, they don't get too many people that do home testing for diabetes. And usually when a pet owner knows that their animal has diabetes, the doctor tells them, give them this many units, and feed them twice a day and what have you, and bring them back in X number of weeks, and we'll check them and we'll make an adjustment on their insulin if they need to. I don't know if you know this about me, but I am a super duper control freak. So, and I need to have the data, the information, so that I know how to react based on information. I can't react on nothing. So by me home testing Sammy, I can monitor her sugar and determine if she needs to have an increase before waiting 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is that most people wait before they take them back to the doctor and have a glucose test done. We did this with Sammy a few years ago. I don't think I was podcasting at that point. I think it was just before I started podcasting. And within a few months, Sammy did go into remission and was off insulin for a number of years. She did have a couple of bouts of reoccurrence. And as soon as we administered insulin, she would get back on track and naturally regulate. So I'm hoping that that is what happens here as well. I don't know if that's going to if that's what's going to happen, but I'm hoping. I'm very, very hopeful. And so this weekend I am actually off work on tomorrow afternoon, Friday, because I'm recording this Thursday evening. And I'm off all weekend and then also on Monday. And I'm hoping that we can see some big progress in her numbers between now and then. And I'm hoping that I can pull myself together, because I am unraveling at the seams, honestly. I am not sleeping very well because I'm getting up 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a night to check Sammy, depending on where her sugar levels are. I suspect that this weekend is going to be much of the same, because if we are increasing her dosage, there's a good chance that she will drop down into the normal levels, and we'll need to keep an eye on her to make sure she doesn't drop too low and make sure she has food if she needs it and what have you. It is somewhat stressful. I think I make it more stressful than it really is, but it is what it is, and I'm just glad that I feel comfortable testing her at home and making necessary changes without, specific doctor instructions. And I have to say that the ladies on the feline diabetes board that I participate in are so helpful. They've all been there, done that, had cats that have been on insulin, gone into remission, gotten back on insulin. They've been there for years. Some of the same ladies that I was chatting with back in 2010 when I found the website are still on the website. Even though their cats have since passed away, they're still there. And they enjoy helping others and helping people to understand that feline diabetes is very much treatable and very probable to go into remission. And I'm kind of glad that I'm on that board, because I was reminded by those ladies today that not only do I need to take care of Sammy, but I need to take care of myself. And I really have not been doing that for the last couple of weeks. Not only am I not sleeping well, I'm probably not eating, I'm eating good food, I'm eating my diet type food, my THM stuff, but I'm probably not eating often enough. And if Sammy needs a shot or a test, whatever I was doing is just put to the wayside. Anyway, now that I've rambled on about Sammy for 9 minutes or so, and all the depressingness of it, let's go on to brighter and more interesting things. If by the way, if any of you have diabetic cats, or your cat is diagnosed with diabetes, I'm more than happy to chat with you about treatments and stuff like that, how I've been treating Sammy and whatnot. And I can also link you to the feline diabetes board that I am a member of. So let's get on to other things. So, like I said, I haven't done much knitting in the past couple of weeks. I have worked on my basic socks that are done with Never Enough Time sock yarn. I'm not showing those to you today because honestly I have no idea where they are right now. I think they're in my work bag that I haven't even unpacked today. Actually, I'm only going to show you one project today because that's primarily what I worked on, and the only reason that I worked on it was it kind of was a necessity. And when I tell you and show you what it is, you'll understand. Well, you probably understand now because I already know that what the episode is going to be called. So you probably already know what the one finished object is going to be. I have not worked on Ecuador at all. The Fall Mystery shawl right now, honestly, I don't have the brain power, even in the slightest. The Never Shall Meet shawl, I have not worked on, although I did see Kimberly Sock Bunny's shawl, and it made me want to start working on mine again. And that's not a difficult pattern, so that's definitely something that I can work on during this weekend or whenever, because it's not a difficult pattern. Knit Swirl hasn't even been out of the bag, and Sammy's Log Cabin Blanket, not even a stitch done on that. I have also not done any spinning in a few weeks now. I'm kind of sad about that, but you know, what are you going to do? And spinning I probably could do because it doesn't take any brain power to do. So let me tell you about the project that I did this week. And then we will talk about the VKN, the drawings, and the KALs that are going on. And then that will pretty much wrap up the show. So this week, I think I mentioned somewhere, I don't know where, I think it might have been on the last episode, that all of my felted clog slippers had holes, gaping holes in the bottom. Now I will be showing you some pictures of the befores because it was pitiful, absolutely pitiful. And with as many pairs of these slippers as I have made, I do not know why it took me this long to figure out a solution to the holey bottoms. Honestly, I've thought about patching them. In fact, I have kind of done some kind of whip stitch patching to try and hold it together. But I could never think of a way that would work out to my liking, because I didn't want to make a new bottom and have to refelt it and figure out how it was going to be sewn on after that, and there was just so many different things that I thought about doing but never did. I thought about using those leather bottoms to patch it and never got around to doing it. It just did not seem like it was going to be something that I wanted to do, so I just skipped it. And when my slippers got holes in the bottom so badly that my feet were coming through the bottom, I would just throw the slippers away and knit another pair. Because honestly, the cost of the yarn to knit another pair was not that much, and it doesn't take me that long to knit a pair. Usually if I focus and I work on them and I've timed myself, it takes me approximately 6.5 hours to knit my size of slipper. That's it, 6.5 hours. You know, so I just have to focus and work on it. I mean, I've had a pair on the needles for Steve for a couple months now, and they're still not done. But that's what I've done. I've just thrown them out. But now I think back of all the slippers that have been thrown out and how many slippers I could have had, how much longer I could have made them last. So let me tell you what I did. So here are a pair of my slippers. And I will show you the before right here. And now for the after. Brand new bottoms. Knit exactly like the pattern calls for. except for on smaller needles. Why did it take me this long to figure this out? Why? I don't know. So let me tell you what I did. First of all of my slippers, I always knit the bumper, okay? This is the bumper that goes around the base of the slipper. Now, you don't have to knit the bumper. There are 2 ways to do it in the pattern. I always knit the bumper, only because I find that when I don't have the bumper, my foot kind of rolls more off the side, and then I'm walking on the edge of the slipper here that's not as thick, and it drives me crazy. So I find that the bumper helps that a little. I'm not saying it completely resolves that problem, but it does help a little. Okay? So a couple weeks ago, I got this idea. I wonder if I can knit another sole in a smaller needle. I didn't know. I had no idea if it would work. So I tried it. And guess what? It worked fantastic. I tried it on a pair of slippers. And just, how long would it take me to knit a bottom? I mean, really. So I knit a bottom, and then I kind of did a running stitch around, I seamed it to the edge. You'll see along here. Let me see if I can get out of the picture so it will focus on the slipper, maybe. You see the running stitch that's going around. This is going through the bumper and then through the base of the slipper, the new base. And it's kind of tough to sew together, but once you get in a rhythm, you can kind of get it done pretty quickly. And if there were big holes in the heels that I could get to, or if there was holes up here that I could do kind of a whip stitch before I put the bottom on, just to kind of hold the ends together, I did that. And I have a new pair of slippers. Again, all I did, I think the pattern calls for size 13 needles with holding 2 strands together. Well, I still held 2 strands together. I just used a size 7. And I did exactly the same size that these slippers were made for originally, just in a smaller needle. And it seems to work because I'm wearing a pair that I did. Steve has a pair that I did. He's already been wearing them. He could not wait once I told him I was going to have a new pair of slippers for him. I have this pair. So this is 3 pairs. So the pair that I've got on my feet right now, Steve's pair, this pair, and this pair, and this pair, and this pair. So I have extended the life of my slippers a lot. Now, one of these pairs I usually keep at the office, so they will be going back to the office. But here's a good example of what I do on the inside. I don't do anything fancy. I just sew it together as best I can. Nothing fancy. If you have been watching long enough, you know that I'm not about the fancy. I'm about get the job done. And I don't know why, again, I don't know why it took me this long to figure this out. But like I said, I'm sure I put the other pictures in there of what these slippers look like before on the bottoms. I mean, some of them were not that bad, but the pair of slippers that I'm wearing now, the ones I didn't show you because now they've been walked on for 2 weeks and the bottoms are quite dirty. There was huge, I mean, when I talk huge, I'm like this big holes in the bottom. My feet were coming through the bottom of the slippers. Both layers of the sole were worn out. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. I don't know why I allowed them to go that long, but I just didn't have time to felt them, and I just didn't. But now I have 5 new pairs of slippers. Not 5 new pairs, but 5 rejuvenated pairs of slippers. I won't need slippers until next winter. I'll wear these. And I already have 2 new pairs that are already knit up. All I have to do is felt them. So, if you have those slippers and you are wearing holes in your slippers like there's no tomorrow, try this little technique. It will double the life of your slippers, honestly. It will double the life of your slippers. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm not going to share specific details about how I knit the bottoms because it's exactly the same as the pattern. And if you have the pattern, you already know exactly what I did. I did it exactly the same. I seamed them up in the center. I seamed them around the outside. Good to go. Exactly the same. So let's talk about VKN. I'm really sorry that I had to cancel VKN last weekend. I just was not in the state of mind to be chatting. I'm not sure that I'm going to be in the state of the mind this weekend either, but I'm going to kind of force myself to do it because I need to get out of this funk. So there is a VKN on Saturday. That would be the 31st from 7 to 9 p.m. on Saturday, Eastern Standard Time. So if you'd like to come and chit-chat, please join us on the VKN. I will post a link to the chat room in the thread on Ravelry, in the VKN thread on Ravelry, just before 7 p.m. Saturday night. And you can, that would be today, actually, because this episode is going to be posting today. So if you're watching this in the morning on Saturday, the VKN is going to be tonight. So I'll post a link to the thread, or in the thread on the Knitting Blooms Ravelry group, and you can join us. The last couple VKNs, we haven't quite had a full house, but we've had, I think, 8 or 9 people. So we've had a really nice chat, and I know whoever shows up, it'll be a fantastic time. We have a couple of drawings to do for the Knit Your Stash challenge. I'm very excited that there have been so many entries, not only in the chatter thread, but also the finished object thread. I have not looked at those threads, honestly. I was just noticing that I forgot my the number on this one. Hang on. Hang on. Yep. I have not looked at the threads. I actually went in today, pulled the drawing, and then reset so that I could go back to the last one that I read. I'm hoping this weekend to get caught up on the internet. I have done some catching up. I think I got through some of the YouTube comments. I went through and read all of the condolences for Cody this past week. I still have to catch up on some PMs on Ravelry and a couple of threads in the Knitting Blooms Ravelry group, and also Knitopia Ravelry group, and I don't even know. I need to try and catch up. I start to do it, and then I either get sidetracked with something to do with Sammy, or I need to get on and talk to the ladies on the feline diabetes board for advice. It's been crazy, but like I said, I have been getting to everything. In fact, yesterday or the day before, I went through emails, and I'm very, very sorry for a couple people. There were some emails that I just totally missed because I get so many emails in my Knitting Blooms email that there's times that I just completely miss emails. And I was going through and deleting all of the emails because, in fact, I probably need to figure out how to turn off the automatic email that tells me when somebody subscribes. I like to see that when people subscribe, but honestly, it's getting overwhelming. I mean, because I get between anywhere between 7 to 30 people that subscribe every day. And those are all individual emails. So it's hard to keep up and keep them deleted. So that's why if you send an email to my Knitting Blooms email, which you, by all means, you can do that. But I think I had an email from January 2nd that I just got to. And like I said, I'm really sorry about that, and I did apologize to the people who it took me forever to get back to, and I hope they understood that, you know, between the issues, the family issues we've been having with the pets and everything, and then just all the emails, it has been too much for me. Anyway, so I'm trying to get back to getting through those threads, but the Knit Your Stash threads have not been one of the things that I've gotten to, because there are so many posts in there that I do like to read everything. Even if I can't respond to everything, I do like to read everything. And until I have time to actually focus and read it, I just stay out of that thread because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So anyway, we have 2 drawings today. The first drawing is for the chatter thread. We had a lot of entries in the chatter thread, 200 and something. I think 212, I think. I can't remember. But I did a drawing. I'm giving away a $10 pattern, $10 or less on Ravelry, giftable pattern, or a combination of multiple patterns that add up to $10. And the winner is number 34, BJBJ, and that is Brandy. So Brandy, congratulations. You have won this month's giftable pattern on Ravelry. So just get in contact with me. Please PM me, because honestly, I get lots of PMs on Ravelry too, but I can usually keep up with them a little bit easier because it's not 400 emails. It's maybe 15 or 20 PMs that I can kind of keep up with. So I feel like Ravelry's the easier way, or YouTube, because I can easily go back and look at my YouTubes in order as to when they were posted, which is how I usually do it. I don't usually go by the emails that I get from YouTube. I usually go to my comments on YouTube and then just scroll down to the last comment that I made to you guys, or to the last response that I made, and then I go up from there. Anyway, Brandy, congratulations on winning the giftable pattern this month, $10 or less. Just contact me and let me know what you want. The second drawing is for the finished objects thread, and I think it was 129 or something thereabouts of projects that have already been completed in January. I love it. I love it. I'm so thrilled that you guys are using up your old stash and getting projects completed. So the winner this week will receive this very awesome skein from Solar Flare Fibers. It is her Soul base, which is 100% superwash merino, 490 yards, and the colorway is Sea Glass. I don't even know if that's going to focus. Anyway, it is fabulous. It's extremely squishy, and it's a nice yarn. I mean, if I didn't know better, I'd almost say that there was some cashmere in this yarn. It's very soft, and it's very squishy, and it's kind of lofty. I mean, sometimes your 490 yard skeins are a thinner yarn, but this seems like it's a little bit more plump. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. Let me show you the color up close. If it will focus. Hello, focus on me for me. One day soon. In this millennium. Maybe not. Maybe so. Anyway, just know that it is a skein of loveliness. And the winner is number 20, Miss Melody, and that is Joanne. So Joanne, congratulations. You have won that skein of yarn. Just get in contact with me with your address, and I will get that out in the mail to you as soon as possible. And I did want to remind everybody that I do have a couple of prizes from the last few months of Knit Your Stash for December and I think November that have not been claimed yet. So if you have entered Knit Your Stash, maybe you need to go find that episode where I do prizes for Knit Your Stash and watch it and see if you are a winner, because they have not been claimed. And I do try and hold them as long as possible. But honestly, I don't know how long I should hold them. I mean, most podcasters do about 90 days. But I try and hold them for as long as I can. But Knitopia is coming up. And we might need prizes. But if you contact me, you will get your prize. But yeah, what I do is I usually keep them put aside, and then if you contact me before I have released it to go to something else for a prize, then you will still get your prize. But if I have said, okay, this is way too long, you missed your chance, and I find something else to either donate it for another prize to another podcast or something, or Knitopia, then you missed your chance. But I do hold it for a long time. Okay, so those are the drawings for this week. Knit Your Stash is still going on. It will go on all year long, and we will have prizes each month. I will try and do drawings at the end of every month for Knit Your Stash, for both the chatter thread and the finished object thread. So be sure to participate in both. What else? Okay, so let's talk about knit-alongs. So we have the Knit Your Stash. We all know what that is all about. You have to have your stash in Ravelry prior to January 1st, 2015. If it was not in Ravelry prior to January 1st, 2015, it does not count for Knit Your Stash 2015. Anything prior to that is good to go. February, which is going to start in a couple of days, I need to set up a Finish Your Frog It thread so that you can start posting your finished objects there, or your frogged things. Now, the way it's going to work for Finish It or Frog It is, if you have a project that you finish, you must post a picture of the finished object. Preferably also a picture of what it looked like on February 1st. So on February 1st, oops. Okay, I need to pause you guys for a moment because it's time for Sammy's insulin. I did not expect to be chatting this long. So I will be right back to tell you about Finish It or Frog It February. Okay, I'm back. That took a little bit longer than I expected it to. When I am giving Sammy her insulin, I have to be very focused. And that's where, when you're on low sleep, you have to be even more focused. Because her shot is so tiny. I actually brought down the needle, the syringe, to show you exactly how much insulin she gets. And the problem with this is that not only is the unit of measure so tiny, but if you have one little bubble in the insulin, that could be like, you know, it could be a tenth of a unit. It could be a huge difference. So here is the syringe. Now I've already taken the tip off, so there's no needle on here. But here it is. Hopefully it'll focus for you. Okay? So you see that 5 right there? That's 5 units, okay? Sammy gets 1. We've just increased her dose to 1 unit. And right there, where the plunger is at the top, is the dosage that she gets. I mean, literally, it is like the smallest little tip of the finger. Prior to today, she got a half a unit. And you can see, I'm hoping you can see the markings on there for half. So where it is now is about 1, and there's another little mark that's half. So needless to say, if you accidentally give 2, I mean, that's like, could be drastic. I mean, it's just crazy how small of a dose that they get and how much it helps them. Anyway, I ended up using 3 needles today because you can't reuse the needle. You can't stick it back into the vial once you've used it. And I kept getting bubbles. And I want the dosage to be accurate. So I just said start over. Anyway, so back to finish a frog at February. So on February 1st, which will be Sunday after this episode, take all your projects that you're thinking about either frogging or finishing, take pictures of them in the current state. Now, if you don't get it done until February 5th because you didn't see the podcast until February 5th, that's okay. It's not a big deal. But I'd like to see where it is currently at the beginning of February and where it is whenever you finish it or decide to frog it. And when you frog it, you have to wind up the balls and put it back together and take a picture of the balls wound up so that we can see that, yes, in fact, you did decide to frog it. So that's going to be Finish It or Frog It February. The tag will be hashtag FFF 2015. Also, there was a fantastic suggestion earlier this week by Cicely in Indiana, and she suggested that we do a square a week KAL. It's going to be kind of an informal KAL, and I think I already set the thread up for that. Pretty sure I did, but with my mind I could have thought that I did it and didn't. But we are going to do an informal kind of knit along. There is going to be a prize at the end of each month, but it's going to be, all it's going to be is little skeins, and I'm thinking like somewhere between, I don't know, 5 and 10 or 15 little skeins. I can't remember what I put in the thread. I think I put that in the thread if I started it. But it's going to be little skeins to make more squares or hexie puffs or barnyard whatever. The barn raising quilt, I think is what it's called. Any sock yarn blanket that you are working on, if they're small little pieces, or if you're doing like a granny square sock yarn and you finish a row on it, will count, for a post. So just start posting your squares every day or whatever, and then at the end of each month I will do a drawing and pull from my stash or make little skeins from all of my different sock yarns that I have larger balls of, and send you some more skeins for your sock yarn blanket. And I think that's it for today. Yep. I am going to attempt to record next week. But if I don't see, first of all, if I don't do a lot of knitting and I don't, feel myself improving as far as my spirits or what have you. I may not. I might try. If I don't record next week, I will try and do some sort of tutorial between now and then. Because it's a little easier to do a tutorial because I'm just sharing information versus expressing my emotions. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I probably will record a tutorial this weekend just in case come Thursday I don't have the energy to record or I have nothing to show you. And then I will post the tutorial on Saturday if that's the case. If somehow this whole dosing thing with Sammy goes the way I like, that I want it to go, within the next 24 to 48 hours, I might be back on track. I might have to go see the chiropractor because I missed my chiropractor appointment this week. But that isn't such a bad thing. Anyway, thanks so much for sitting and spending some time with me today. And again, I want to thank everyone once again for all their condolences regarding Cody. It was such a hard decision, and if it weren't for Sammy also feeling his pain and stressing about it as much as she was, we probably would have let it prolong a little bit longer, and it probably would have gone too far. So I'm glad we were kind of almost forced into doing it, because I think we would have all just been miserable if it had gone on much longer. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're knitting blooms this week, and I look forward to chatting with everyone on VKN on Saturday, and hopefully next week. Bye for now. As always, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to contact me with your comments or suggestions, as I am always trying to improve the show. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube as Blooming Knitter. You can also find me on Plurk, Twitter, and Pinterest as Blooming Knitter, but I don't frequent those sites as often. I post show updates on Twitter and Facebook, and sometimes to Google Plus and Plurk. I am Miss Aerobics on MyFitnessPal and Fitbit. You can always find all the old episodes as well as links to the tutorials on the blog at www.knittingblooms.com. And you can also follow the show on Facebook. You can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com, and show notes can be found at knittingblooms.com.